All right, we are on to episode number 5. This project is moving along so fast, it's crazy. Episode 4, we did the gluing and a bunch of other things. I got the nut installed, the inlay installed. So this episode, we are going to do the finish sanding, and if time permits, we are going to go ahead and stain the entire thing as well and get this thing nice and colored. And so it's going to be a really fun episode. We're going to get our hands nice and dirty. So we're going to go outside where I have everything set up, and we're going to start the sanding process. We are ready to go. We are outside sanding because I don't want to sand inside. I don't really have a workshop or a garage to work out of. I don't want sawdust inside the house. So we're outside where it's nice and clean. So I've gone in. I've actually already finished the headstock top. So last episode we sanded the wood filler down flush, and then off camera I went ahead and dyed it black, and then I scraped the binding clean. Or the perloid inlay clean. So it's looking really good. I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. So today we are going to go ahead and get started with the finish sanding. For the top, I'm going to start with a 400 grit, work my way up to 600 and then 800. For the sides, the back, the neck, everywhere else in the guitar, I'll start with 220, 320, and then 400, 600, 800. So I've got a block. I don't really need it for the top. I'm going to actually just go ahead, cut myself some 400 grit and get started. So I'll speed this up and I'll cut in when we're done. Gone in with 220 grit and sanded down most of the guitar. Made the heel joint as smooth as I can. So now I'm going to do the exact same thing. And sorry about these camera angles. It's kind of hard to really get an angle out here. My camera, I can't really put it wherever I want because the batteries don't work for it. So I have to have it plugged in all the time. And so since I'm outside, the nearest outlet is inside. And so I can't really get a good angle. But I'm going to keep going here. Essentially what you just saw, I'm going to do that again about 3 or 4 more times. So I just did it with 220. The top's been sanded down to 800. The front of the headstock's been sanded down to 1,000 as well. Don't have to worry about those regions, but everything else I'm going to sand up to about 800. And then I might even actually do the dyeing in today's episode. So let's see how long this takes. That first pass took about 45 minutes to get down with the 220. So now I'm going to do the 320, 400, 600, and 800. Guitar is feeling mighty smooth now. I've got the whole thing sanded up to 800. It's feeling absolutely incredible. It's so smooth. That sanding took me about an hour and a half. And so what I'll do now is I'll go inside, I'll get everything set up, and we're actually going to go ahead with the stain. I'm going to stain the back and sides first to get everything black. And then once that's dry, which will be pretty much at the end of the day, I'll go in and do the top because the top won't take very long. So I'll meet you guys inside. All right, we're inside now, we're set up. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with the back and the sides, the back of the neck and the headstock. I'm gonna be using Minwax True Black Stain. This is the stuff, if I can get it to focus, there we go. I'll be using this stuff. It's an oil-based stain, I've heard good things about it. Now here's the issue. There are certain parts of the guitar where there is wood filler. So like places like here and kind of odd regions, you know, around the binding. So this wood stain doesn't really do well with wood stain. It doesn't really soak in. It doesn't accept it much. So I'm going to do my best. I'm going to get it all done. If the spots where, you know, the wood stain doesn't accept it, I'm going to go in with my black Rit dye and just kind of spot fill those parts. And then after 4 hours, I'm going to go back in and do another coat of this wood stain. Now the stuff reeks and the fumes are kind of hazardous. So I'm going to be wearing oh geez, I forgot what these things are called, but respirator. There we go. I'll be wearing one of these. I'll be wearing a respirator for the process, and I'm gonna for the drying process. I'm gonna go put it in the washroom, turn the fan on, open the window, so it's nice and ventilated. And after 4 hours, I'll come back in, and we'll see what we're at. So I'm just gonna be putting on with some old rags. These have been put through the ringer multiple times. There's no lint in those things, so that's my weapon of choice. So let's get started. Oh, man. All right, so we got, ow, freaking hell. All right, don't smoke your knee on a treadmill, first of all. That hurt. Anyways, so we got the stain done. I've got the guitar in the washroom with the door closed, windows open, fans on, let it air out. The stuff does reek, and it's not really that great for your health. Another thing, use gloves. I completely forgot to, and so my fingertips got all black. I managed to clean them off as much as I could, but definitely use gloves because you don't want your hands covered in the stuff. It's hard to get off, and it smells just like the stuff. It takes ages for that stuff to come off. So we're gonna wait 4 hours. Once it's done, we're gonna stain it again, and then we'll do the top. So I'll see you guys for the second coat. All right, so I ran into some issues with my camera. Surprise, surprise. I did do the second stain on the back. Unfortunately, I couldn't recover the footage. My camera corrupted it again. So as it stands right now, the back is all done. I've also scraped the binding clean as well. And so I'm gonna put these gloves on and I'll show you kind of what I've done so far. This thing's starting to look really cool. I'm really excited about it. It's starting to look exactly like how I envisioned it. I kind of had my doubts with the Minwax wood stain. But if you stir it well enough and you do what it says on the back, you'll get really good results. And so check this out. Nice and black all around the guitar. You can even see some of the grain, which is perfect. I kind of wanted that, and then of course I scraped the binding clean. So this thing is looking absolutely just beautiful. And so now it's time to do the top. And so the way that I'm gonna do this is gonna be a black to purple burst. And so obviously this has a flame maple veneer. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna start with my black RIT dye, which I've got an old pair of, this is an old pair of boxer shorts that's ripped up now. It's just been washed a whole bunch of times, put through the dryer so there's no lint. I'm gonna use this to put the black on. Once I put the black on, I'm gonna use some 800 grit sandpaper and sand back most of the black, just to make sure that there's a nice kind of ring around the whole guitar. And then also I'm gonna make sure that the tiger striping pops through with the black as well. So let us get started. After a couple of hours, I have finished the painting process on the top, and here is how it turned out. I've also gone ahead and scraped the binding as well. I think it turned out all right. I mean, I tried to go for a black to purple burst. The burst is kind of, it's minimal rather. It's kind of more of like a smoky edge. It's not so much of a black to purple. I think it turned out okay for the most part, and then the binding I think now really looks beautiful. The perloid, it pops really nice now that the rest of the guitar is dark. And again, with the frets, I've got these stickers that I'm putting on top from Neck Illusions. And let me grab them right here. And so these stickers are gonna go over top of the fretboards. The fretboard is gonna look like that. It's gonna have this nice, perloid vine inlay running through. So I'm really excited once I go to put those on. It's gonna have a purple strap as well. This purple kind of matches the purple on top of the, on the top rather. So I'm gonna call it quits now for this episode. Next episode, we are going to start the finishing process. So we're gonna put some tung oil over the entire thing. We're gonna build up a couple coats of that, and then we're gonna put polyurethane on the top. of the body and the top of the headstock to give it a nice hard protective finish as well as a glossy finish. And so I'm really excited. This build is really coming along. Finally put my own stamp on it. And so I will see you guys next episode.